Suddenly, the curtain falls on the life of one of Hollywood's most fearless supporting actors. Diane Ladd, age 89, has passed away at her home in Ojai, California, leaving behind not just a catalog of memorable performances, but a deeply human story of roots, reinvention, family, tragedy, and resilience. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and turn on the alert bell so you'll be first to hear updates on this story and many others. Diane Ladd was born Rose Diane Ladner on November 29, 1935, in Laurel, Mississippi. Though her family lived in nearby Meridian, and the birth reportedly took place while they were visiting relatives for Thanksgiving. She was the only child of Preston Paul Ladner, a veterinarian and traveling poultry/livestock product salesman, and Mary Bernadette Anderson, later Ladner, a homemaker who also had acting experience. Early on, she grew up in the South, under her mother's Roman Catholic faith, and was even related to cultural figures, distant kin to playwright Tennessee Williams and poet Sidney Lanier. During her formative years, she developed interests in acting, singing, and dancing. At one point, she attended a finishing school in New Orleans and, on weekends, performed with a band in the French Quarter. Making the leap from Mississippi to the stage and screen was no small feat after some training in New York and a period of modeling and dancing, including at the Copacabana Club. Ladd moved toward full-time acting. Her first major stage break came in 1959 in an off-Broadway production of her cousin Tennessee Williams' Orpheus Descending, which also brought her into contact with actor Bruce Dern, whom she would later marry. From there, she began appearing on television throughout the late 1950s and early 1960s. Shows like Perry Mason, 77 Sunset Strip, Gunsmoke, and others. Her film debut arrived in 1966 in Roger Corman's biker picture The Wild Angels, alongside Peter Fonda and Nancy Sinatra, setting the stage for a long career that would span decades. What strikes me about that early journey is how grounded yet ambitious it was. From a Southern upbringing to New York training to early television gigs, each step added experience. And Ladd seemed willing to do the groundwork rather than wait for stardom to arrive. That kind of humility and work ethic would serve her well later, especially when the big breaks came. Also, the South to Limelight transition added depth to her performances. Being from a smaller town and then immersing herself in the world of acting likely gave her both humility and material. In many interviews, she referenced her roots, her upbringing, and how that shaped the resilience she displayed throughout her life. The turning point in her career came with the 1974 film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, directed by Martin Scorsese. In that film, she played the sharp-tongued waitress Flo, a role that earned her the first of her 3 Academy Award nominations. At that time, she had already done substantial television work and some supporting film roles, but this movie elevated her. It showed she could hold her own opposite the lead, Ellen Burstyn, and bring complexity to supporting characters. The nomination wasn't just a formality. It reflected a shift in how Hollywood perceived her. Her performance in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore merged swagger with vulnerability. Flo had edge, humor, and a kind of lived-in quality, not polished glitz. For me, that's the beauty of it. Ladd brought authenticity, partly because she wasn't trying to hide her background. She embraced it. The role also opened doors. Soon after she appeared in the classic North Chinatown, 1974, directed by Roman Polanski. In effect, her breakout was not a one-time flash. It was the moment the industry began to value her distinct voice, and she ran with it. She kept building. That demonstrates a kind of career architecture. Early foundation, breakout role, followed by diversification rather than resting on laurels. Over more than 60 years, Ladd amassed 3 Academy Award nominations for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, Wild at Heart, Rambling Rose, and 3 Emmy nominations. She moved fluidly between film and television, character roles, and more mainstream parts, proving herself adaptable. For example, after her Oscar nod for Alice, she continued to land diverse roles in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, and beyond, even into the 2020s. It's rare for an actor to maintain relevance across so many eras. The studio system, the rise of independent film, the digital age, and yet Ladd did. She didn't chase only big budgets. She embraced roles that challenged her or gave her something to say. Her credits run to over 200 film/TV projects. In my view, the longevity of her career is one of her greatest achievements. Many actors peak and fade. Ladd kept working, and working well. She made choices that kept her in the conversation, not just as nostalgia, but as someone who still had something to offer. What also stands out is how she used supporting roles, often undervalued in the public eye, and turned them into moments. She understood that being memorable doesn't require top billing, but presence, nuance, authenticity. That's a lesson for anyone, really. Across decades, she showed that craft, not spotlight, is key. And it's the consistency of craft that builds legacy. One of the most beautiful chapters in Ladd's story is her creative and personal bond with her daughter, Laura Dern. They co-starred in several films over 3 decades, notably Wild at Heart, 1990, and Rambling Rose, 1991, both earning Oscar nominations for Ladd. Their relationship wasn't just parent/child. It became artistic collaborators and mutual supporters. In their joint book, Honey, Baby, Mine, they opened up about their walks, conversations, and healing after Ladd's lung diagnosis, turning personal reflection into art. Working together in high-profile films gave fans a window into their connection. But behind the work was a genuine, often vulnerable relationship. Mother supporting daughter, and daughter reflecting back admiration and love. Laura's tribute called her mother my amazing hero and profound gift. I believe this creative bond elevates Ladd's legacy. It turns her story from that of an actor to that of a matriarch of talent, and it bridges generations. In a film world that sometimes pits careers against each other, they found a way to uplift each other. The joint work speaks to mentorship, love, and continuity. Behind the glitz and the screen credits, Ladd carried deep personal wounds. Her first daughter, Diane Dern, died tragically at just 18 months after a pool accident. Loss like that leaves scars. Ladd herself said, "You will never get over that." The pain informed her work, the empathy she brought to roles, and the way she lived. I think it gave her depth and understanding of fragility and strength together. That tragedy also impacted her life choices. Marriage ended, motherhood redefined, career paths shifted. The interplay between professional success and personal sorrow gave her story layers. She didn't just play tough women. She was a tough woman who had lived through arcs of hurt and healing. It's easy to look at awards and forget the person behind them. In Ladd's case, the person is visible. In interviews, in her willingness to speak about grief in her art. And that transparency, that rawness, adds to how memorable her work is. When Laura Dern embarked on her own acting career, Ladd initially hesitated. Understandable, given her own journey in a ruthless industry. But eventually she embraced Laura's path, supported it, and later celebrated it. That shift from caution to support is telling. It shows Ladd as a mother first and actress second. She understood the stakes, had weathered many storms, and yet she chose encouragement over competition. That speaks volumes about character. In turn, Laura's public tribute reveals the warmth, respect, and admiration between them. Their relationship becomes an example, not one of rivalry, but of generational passing of the torch. In a landscape filled with stories of jealousy or distance between actor parents and their children, their story stands out as one of partnership and affection. For me, this is where the human side of Ladd really glows. She didn't just create art, she nurtured art in others, particularly in her daughter. And that becomes part of why her legacy matters beyond her filmography. In 2018, Ladd was diagnosed with a serious lung condition, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, that threatened her life. She and Laura turned that fear into conversation, ultimately into the book Honey, Baby, Mine, A Mother and Daughter Talk Life, Death, Love, and Banana Pudding. Rather than retreating, Ladd used illness as a springboard for reflection. She wrote, talked, collaborated. She didn't wait for health to come back. She kept creating. That kind of resilience is rare. It offers a lesson. Even in decline, one can still contribute, still speak, still leave mark. And in their book, they didn't just dwell on illness. They talked about love, memory, creativity, the seams between mother and daughter. It's a testament to her lifelong pattern, using art to live and using life to make art. That final phase of her life may not have been easy, but it was meaningful. And in that meaning lies part of the legacy. You don't have to wait for your best days. You make meaning in the days you have. What remains now is a legacy that resonates on multiple levels. On one hand, you have an actor with 3 Oscar nominations, a Golden Globe, decades of performance work. That's impressive in its own right. On the other, you have a woman whose life story gives texture to her public persona. Small-town origins, tragic loss, long career, deep mother-daughter bond, creative fire and illness, and the ability to stay true to craft rather than chasing fame. Her impact is felt in film and television, in the artists she collaborated with and mentored, even if informally, and in the roles that will continue to be watched and studied. But perhaps most enduring is the example of perseverance, of love, and of authenticity. For those of us watching now, there's a clear takeaway. Creativity doesn't stop at a peak. Relationships matter. Loss doesn't preclude meaning. And a legacy is built not just by what you do, but by how you connect, how you respond, how you show up. So as we remember Diane Ladd, we remember more than an actress. We remember a life lived richly, fully, messy, and triumphant. Her passing marks the end of a chapter, but her story remains an open invitation to live with courage, create with heart, and love without reserve. Diane Ladd's career exemplified perseverance, versatility, and an unshakable love for storytelling. Her bond with Laura Dern remains one of Hollywood's most genuine mother-daughter relationships. The personal tragedy she carried shaped an emotional depth that gave her performances rare authenticity. Even after facing illness, she continued creating, reflecting her lifelong resilience and creative fire. Her passing marks not only the loss of a great actress, but the closing of a deeply human, generational story. And now I leave you with this question. In your own life, which part of your story have you let unfold? And which part are you still writing?